This video will present parallels between texts that lend heavily to the idea of Marcion's priority. The first parallel I'd like to talk about is a Revelation parallel. In Revelation 14, the author speaks of an incident that includes the fall of Babylon the Great, trampling a winepress, and blood flowing at the depth of a horse's bridle up to 180 miles. These references parallel the Bar Kokhba revolt description in the Jerusalem Talmud, Tanit 4:6. According to the Talmud, as a result of this revolt, Hadrian had a vineyard planted and surrounded it with the bodies of dead Jews. Also, blood flowed at the depth of a horse's nose for 40 Roman miles. Babylon the Great in this chapter would be Aelia Capitolina, or Beitar. The parallels are a bit too precise to be coincidence. The most likely explanation is that a good portion of Revelation 14 was written after the Bar Kokhba revolt. Now, there are parallels in the rest of the New Testament books. Matthew, Mark, and Luke all present the parable of the tenants. This is a parable about a man who owns a vineyard and moved to a different place. He tried to collect the produce from the vineyard, but the people that were renting the vineyard revolted. Eventually, the tenants are killed by the owner, and he puts others in charge who allow him to collect the produce. Probably the biggest oddity in this parable is that it is not in Marcion. Marcion would have no reason to remove a passage like this. In fact, this passage, had it been available to Marcion, would only have supported his religion. Mark is the first to introduce the parable of the tenants, while Revelation describes the events of Bar Kokhba under the trampling of the winepress. Matthew, Mark, and Luke give the parable of the vineyard. The most likely explanation is that Matthew, Mark, and Luke all came after the Bar Kokhba revolt, and Marcion comes before the Bar Kokhba revolt. It should also be noted that John doesn't refer to this either.